All right, today we're diving deep. We're heading into the Kalahari with Louis Liebenberg's incredible book, The Art of Tracking. But look, we're not just talking about following footprints in the sand. We are exploring this really advanced, creative science called speculative tracking. And we're going to unpack a pretty radical idea. What if this ancient skill is actually the origin of all science itself? I mean, think about it for a second. How do you find something when the trail just vanishes? We all face this, right? Whether you're a developer debugging code, a detective solving a mystery, or heck, just trying to figure out where you left your keys. You've got a few clues, but the rest of the picture? It's gone. The trail is cold. And this is the big idea for today. That mental toolkit, the one that ancient hunter-gatherers developed to solve this exact problem, to follow invisible trails, well, that is the very same toolkit that powers modern science. So to really get this, we first have to understand that, according to Liebenberg, tracking isn't just one thing. It actually involves two totally different mindsets. Okay, so on one hand, you've got what's called systematic tracking. This is the cautious, evidence-based approach. You find a footprint, you carefully look for the next one, and then the next one. You're following only the signs you can physically see. But then there's speculative tracking. And this is bold. This is about making an imaginative leap, creating a hypothesis that goes way beyond the signs you can actually see. So that systematic tracker, they're using something called inductive-deductive reasoning. It basically means they see enough kudu tracks to go, okay, this is what a kudu track looks like. They form a general rule. Then they use that rule to identify the next track. It's powerful, for sure, but it's limited. It can only work with what you've already seen. It can't really predict something new. But what happens when those tracks just disappear onto hard, rocky ground? Well, that's where the real magic happens. That's the scientific leap. This is the world of hypothetico-deductive reasoning. And here is the big shift. A speculative tracker doesn't just look for more tracks. No, they create a story, a working hypothesis. They use their deep, deep knowledge of how animals behave, of the terrain, to imagine what the animal did. And then, and this is key, they actively search for clues that could prove or disprove that story. And this is where the link to modern science just becomes undeniable. You know, Einstein himself said that scientific theories aren't just lying around in the data, waiting to be found. They are creative, quote, free inventions of the human intellect. The speculative tracker? They're doing the exact same thing, inventing a theory to explain the evidence they have. Let's just walk through this, because it perfectly illustrates the process. Step 1, a tracker observes a few faint marks. Step 2, they form a hypothesis, an imaginative story, something like, okay, this kudu was probably heading for the shade of those trees way over there to rest during the heat of the day. From that story, they make a prediction. If I'm right about that, then I should be able to find its tracks again right where it entered the trees. And finally, step 4, they test it. They walk over there and look for the tracks. I mean, that is the scientific method, plain and simple. So what is it that fuels this whole scientific process? Well, it's powered by two incredibly human abilities, prediction and creative imagination. You can almost see how it all fits together, right? That core idea of speculative tracking branches out into these two essential mental powers. It's not just one skill, it's a whole way of thinking. Now, when we talk about prediction, we're not talking about looking into a crystal ball here. Not at all. It's about building such a detailed mental simulation of the animal, its needs, its habits, how it interacts with the land, that you can accurately guess where it's going next, even when you can't see a single track. And the engine for that whole simulation is creative imagination. It's a really profound act of empathy. The tracker has to ask themselves, what would I do if I were that animal in the situation? They literally project themselves into its position, trying to understand its decisions from the inside out. And that's the real power of speculative tracking. It lets the tracker take these scattered, visible clues, a broken twig here, a faint scuff mark there, and weave them together into an invisible, coherent story. It's explaining the seen with the unseen. And that brings us to our final and most powerful conclusion. This ancient art, it isn't just like science. According to Liebenberg, it is the first science. This insight just flips everything on its head.
For centuries, we've wondered how in the world the human brain evolved to handle the crazy abstract thinking of, say, physics. But maybe we've been asking the question backwards. The physicist's mind didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's using the exact same mental muscles that were honed and perfected for tracking animals across the savannah thousands of years ago.
I mean, just look at the parallel. A tracker sees a bunch of footprints and explains them by hypothesizing the journey of an unseen animal. A physicist sees tracks in a cloud chamber and explains them by hypothesizing the path of an unseen subatomic particle. The logic, that imaginative leap from the visible signs to an invisible explanation, it's identical. So let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways? First, tracking at its highest level is an act of building theories, not just seeing things. Second, this speculative tracking uses the exact same logic as the scientific method. And finally, the engine behind all of it, from tracking on the savannah to smashing atoms in a super collider, is our amazing ability to imagine the world from a perspective that isn't our own. So that leaves you with a final thought to chew on. The next time you face a problem with missing pieces, what kind of tracker are you going to be? Are you going to be a systematic tracker, just cautiously following the obvious signs? Or are you going to be a speculative tracker, using your imagination to create a bold story, and then having the courage to test it against the world? It turns out the oldest science might just hold the key to solving our most modern problems.